43.
42. 41.
40.
39.
Number 1.
39.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30. 29.
28. 27.
26.
25.
24. 23. 21.
20. 19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10.
9. 8.
7. 6. 5.
4.
3.5. 3.
2.
1.
Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a show out of my hat? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Good evening and welcome to a special edition to the Mouthwash Talk Show. We had such a great time last Tuesday. We're going to do some candidates again tonight. The primaries are just coming around the corner. I was at Sarah Jency Brown's little fundraiser last night. A lot of excitement down there in District 6 for her run against the Jefferson Shreve. It's basically David versus Goliath type of a exercise. And she was on Tuesday, does quite the great job explaining her positions and a lot of energy, all that good stuff we have. So we have another U.S. Congress candidate, Denise Paul Hatch, coming on here directly. And then we have Eddie Kanzler, Eddie Kanzler coming on. And then we're going to round it out with Tiffany Diblitson. You might know her because she's usually on the panel, but the last few weeks, we haven't been able to have her on the panel because you have to be able to offer that to all of the other candidates. And she's got 3 or 4 running against her. It's just better to have her off, but she can come on as a guest because we can offer that to any of these other candidates. They have not contacted me about coming on, but they're more than welcome. I'll even do another special show tomorrow for them if they need it. But folks, get out and vote. I was looking at early voting numbers and whatnot up in Boone County. Not real good so far. And you think up in Boone County, you got some races going on up there. The primaries seem to be more like the elections. And I blame it on gerrymandering because they've drawn these districts to a point where if you're not in the right party, you're not in the club and you ain't going to win. So now it's the primary because, tigers eat their young. So that's what we have going on. We have party people going against party people, and it ain't a real good party. It turns out to be a family reunion that went bad. So, but we're gonna have some folks on tonight. So get out and vote. I know Hamilton County, they've got a pretty good turnout, and that's where Tiffany is. I know Denise Paul Hatch is District 7 here in Indianapolis, the 6 townships, and then Eddie is up in Blackford County, and that's up by Marion, Indiana, not to be mixed up with Marion County. That's a big difference. So he's running for the county council. So anyway, let's get to it. We have Denise Paul Hatch coming on. Denise,
Hi.
How are you?
Hi.
I'm going to put you on the big screen. There you go. So Denise, it's good to see you. I'm not envious of you running against Andre Carson. I ran against him last year and it got slaughtered. so I'm hoping that you have a better chance at it because you know what? I would honestly, and I can vote. I'm in your district. I can vote for you in this November. Now, I had to vote in a Republican because I'm actually a delegate, and I think they frown on that if I go to the Democrat and vote on that, and I'm a delegate for the Republican. I don't think that's going to turn out well for me. But anyway, tell our viewers. You've been on the show before, but tell our viewers. Give us a quick Denise Paul Hatch. Sell me on Denise Paul Hatch.
Okay. Hi. I'm Denise Paul Hatch, and I feel you, and I want to fight for you. I'm actually the only candidate who has actually held office before running for Congress. Carson was selected by his grandmother, and the other 2 people, well, they never won. They may have run, but they never held office.
Right, and that's that's important because this is a big job. And you know, I compare Andre Carson to the groundhog. We only see a shadow when it's around election time, and it is. And I've been trying to get some movement on our Mars Hill floodplain, and it's just been very disappointing. Form letter, brush off. You know, dude, all you gotta do is call me. I'm a pretty nice guy. I can be a really nice guy, especially if you call me. But if you don't call me, I get a little testy. You know, and I'm at that age where I just get grumpy. But anyway, I digress. So, and Andre Carson would never come on the Mouthwash. I don't think he could handle Lucy Brenton on the panel. But anyway, I digress. So let's get to some questions here. And let's see. I got them here. I got the questions. So when you're out talking to voters, which issue do you hear about the most? And it can be more than one. But what are you hearing?
The main issue is Donald Trump. They want him out of office. They want me to go to Congress. Hopefully we get the Senate and the Congress and vote him out. You know, impeach him, and the Senate can go ahead and say bye-bye because he is just out of control.
So on that premise, do you think that there's still, I mean, because Trump won the popular vote even this time around, but do you think that there's been erosion on his support to the point where, hey, this is going to be that we're going to be able to get him because his popularity is not good enough? I mean, why not just wait 2 years? And
what I can tell you is that typically this year should be a very low turnout year, and the numbers are actually doubled from the presidential primary. That's unheard of.
Well, it's so many contested. I mean, you know, you think about it. Andre Carson, I don't believe he had anybody. He might have had somebody last time, but he's got three others.
He had a couple people last time, but this time is a real deal. It's going to be. So I'm going to ask you a question. This is my theory on why Destiny Wells jumped in. I think Destiny Wells is just there to siphon votes off of you and George. I don't see. She just sort of came out of nowhere all of a sudden to do this. I mean, what's your thought on that? I know she's a perennial candidate. She hasn't won anything, and she's not going to win this race either. So, she's 0 for 3.
She doesn't win any prizes with me. She's made some mistakes.
Yeah, politically, you don't badmouth a black man when you're a white woman. I've been saying
I'll give you one question. She's got a lot of nerves. So, and then I see, you know, not to talk about your other competitors, but you know, George, all I see is a TikTok campaign with him. I mean, it's like, okay, that's going to probably get some young people, but I think it's going to be very interesting. But let's get back to you. Let's get back to you.
The game plan is the ground, but I'm down with the city county building every day. Every day.
So how's the turnout down? How's the turnout down there?
It was pretty good, actually. And then some days are a little bit slow, but yeah. And like I said, it's double what it was in the last presidential. So yeah, pretty.
Yeah, because I was down there during that, doing the same thing you're doing, campaigning for the same spot, and hopefully you're going to be more successful on that. So, is there any other issues that you hear that's maybe more of a local issue? That's a national issue. What's your local issue?
Of course, AES. Light bill. Why was my light bill so high? I actually received a light bill in an empty house, $15,000.
What?
Ooh, what? That's what?
Yeah. And then what were you growing some stuff in there that you might not?
Yeah, girl. You know we're gonna talk about marijuana. Why? We gonna get to the marijuana, okay?
Well, you say that, and down here on Troy Avenue, by my house.
Mm-hmm.
They put in this big transformer pad, brand new, put it in post. I bet you the thing cost $100K. And it was up for about 2 months. And they tore it all out and put a small transformer. And I'm like, what is up with this? Why? I don't know. I don't even want to ask. I don't want to know, but I'm sure I'm probably going to get a high.
What I've been hearing from people, I went to the commission. There was a commission meeting a week or so ago. What I'm hearing is the meters are messed up, and also their billing system is messed up.
Yeah, I guess
that's it. They're pretty messed up. You know what I mean? But what made me get into this race I didn't see the leaders doing anything about it. You know, lip service, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, there's a lot of this business.
But no, this should be investigated. There should be an investigation. They ripped us off
Yeah, well, with the BlackRock thing, you know, I tried to audition for the IURC, and they wouldn't even. Denise, they wouldn't even give me an audition. They didn't even want it. They did not want me to come and testify and say what really needs to be said. That's my only, because I have credentials to do this. I mean, I've actually started a sewer utility from scratch. I've been in front of the IURC. I have at least credentials enough to be interviewed. And they interviewed some pig farmer from out somewhere. It's like,
well,
come on.
I have a theory on that. The
Okay.
That board only exists so people can complain, and then shit gonna be done. Can I say shit?
That is, I know you.
And
You
nothing
can say
gonna be
that.
done.
I think President Trump said worse. So
They need to be investigated. That's why I'm not taking money from any of these people.
yeah, that's my what are your solutions? So
when you do things against my people, I'm coming to you. I'm
Yeah.
coming for you.
Well,
I
and that's
oh my God.
yeah, that's the word on the street. You're a person of the people. That's what I've heard more than one person say that you're a real person. And you know, and I know that when you were constable, you were butting heads with the party, and I think they did you wrong.
They locked me up for 90 days. For wearing a gun and uniform.
Yeah, well, you
for
know how it is. If they love you,
money.
if they love you, they call you Andre Carson. If they hate you, they call you Denise Ball Hatch. I'm just saying, that's how it goes. You can get away with a lot of stuff if they like you. But
well, you know what? I don't do corruption. I don't do corruption. I didn't
I'm sure
for the money, and I'm not going to Washington for the money. You know what I mean? But there's some things I really want to get done. Besides Donald Trump, exiting, I really want to. I have an issue with women that this state that claims to be really Christian, and they have outlawed abortion because they care about the unborn child so much, are now neglecting the women. The pregnant women are being denied Medicaid. Do you hear any of the leaders talking about that?
No, and DCS is a total mess.
Oh God,
and that's a state issue. I know that's a state issue, but yeah, Denise, I don't think you have a shortage of finding stuff that you can help out at. And I think that's a lot of people don't know that about you. I think they just think you are the marijuana candidate and that you don't care about anything. But no, the thing I know about you is that you do care about these things, and you're a lot smarter than just a marijuana candidate.
I'm actually. I went to college at 16. I graduated at 20. I was a Senate intern, Senator John Durkin from New Hampshire. You know what I mean? I owned a construction company. You know, became a landlord. So I don't know this crap. You know, I'm old. I'm the oldest one day. I'm old as crap. I'm 66. You know, they put my birthday in the.
I guess you know that old saying.
Indy.gov. So who cares? You know.
Yeah.
But you got to do this because you love the people. And the reason that I got in a lot of trouble is because I was defending a Black woman with 4 kids
that was getting evicted. I saw the whole thing. I'm like, oh.
Let me tell you, the real story was absentee landlords. That was the real story. But we don't really want to upset the rich people.
Well, we can fast forward. We can fast forward now and see how the rental business is going now for a lot of people. The homeless population is growing because they can't afford rent. People are just barely scraping by. Now we got $5 gas. It's just going to be what it is. Okay, let's go to the next one. I want to get to Eddie next because I don't want to get too long here because you and me could talk for a while. You've already sort of said Trump's the first thing you're going to do in November when you win. But let's go with the second thing then.
Well, in November, I would actually like to start having town hall meetings. 5. East, west, north, south, middle. How are you going to go to Congress and represent people when you haven't heard from them? You haven't touched the skin. You haven't hugged them. Yeah. People. I want people to come and tell me what's your priority now. I'm in. How are we going to go?
Yeah, that's sincere. Now, I've been in Mars Hill for 11 years now in District 6. How many times do you think Andre Carson has been here? That means zero. That means zero. We had a grand opening for our art center, and
I was there. I remember that.
I know you've. I mean, you've been there. You are there. You are in the community. So I would say that's a very stark difference between that. So anybody in the comments that want to throw a question out there, go ahead, because like I said, we got a little more time today because we only have 3 candidates, and I think this is it's going to give them a little more time. We had speed dating on Tuesday. I had to get through it pretty quick, and I had Brad. So tonight I just do me, and that I ask enough questions as it is. So let's see. Let's go. Okay. So we're getting ready to wind this thing up here. So hey, what's one fun fact that folks may not know about you?
I thought about that fun fact lately. A fun fact. The fun fact is, now this may not be a fun fact. I am actually quite dull. I am actually quite boring.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to do. You're starting already to sound like a politician lying.
Yeah, no. It's not a. You know what? I'm not a weed lady. I don't do weed every night. I don't drink. The IMPD investigated me for 6 months, and there was no man, no sex, no drugs, no alcohol,
no rock and roll. What kind of, yeah? Okay, I believe you.
I'm boring.
So, it's like I said, I always enjoy speaking with you, and we just lost our good friend Bob Kern, who I hope people are voting for.
I voted for him.
Now you remember Jen Pace, correct? I mean, you remember Jen Pace?
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, and that's how I got roped into this silly thing. I decided, her memory was worth somebody running, and I think I did her memory justice, and got some bruises to show for it. But yeah, so I appreciate you coming on, and good luck. And I know you're out there working hard, and appreciate what you do.
So I'm telling the folks, help me help you. Help me help you. I know Republicans can vote in the primary. If you really want to get rid of Andre, Republicans, go for me. And maybe I'll be an easier candidate in November. I doubt it, but maybe.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to be.
DenisePaulHatch.com. Check out all the other things I want to do. Thank you.
All right. That's great. Thanks, Denise, and good luck.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Whoops, I sort of cut her off there at the end. So there you go, Denise Paul Hatch. She's always a joy to talk to. We've over the years, she's a Democrat, I'm a Republican, and we don't care. So we don't care. So our next candidate, let's see, I want to make sure I get Tiff because she had an event. She had an event tonight, so I want to see how long. What time will you be ready? Okay, that's good. Yeah, if I had a producer, I could tell him to do that, but I don't. I am everything above, and which with ADHD, I could handle pretty well quite often. So anyway, our next candidate, I put out the little notice that, hey, anybody want to come on? And, a lot of times if you're running for a council race or a lower race, you won't get any media coverage. And, one of the reasons I started doing the podcast like 6 years ago, started with Do Something Indie, was because you know what? I tried to run for mayor as an independent, and the media really didn't want anything to do with that. So they wouldn't put you on, and and I would say this about John Piper. He's running in the 4th district with Baird and Haggart, and Fox 59 didn't even put him up as a candidate. So they really just don't pay attention to you unless you maybe streak around the circle naked or something, then you'll probably make the news that way, but it won't be in a good way. They won't come on and try to let you know what's going on. So I started to Do Something Indie, which morphed into which was good things that happened in Central Indiana, which went into the political thing of Mouthwash. I just sort of made up the Mouthwash. Gary Varvel drew the logo for us, and off we went. And you're going to see Tiffany later. She's been on the show for at least a solid 3 years. And survived it. That's you just had to put that in your what's good about Tiffany is that she survived Mouthwash for 3 years. That was good. But so we wanted to highlight people, and our goal was to have civil discussion, and we want to bring in people into the more of a positive light instead of a gotcha. Now we've gone after some people, but the people we go after really need to be gone after because that same mainstream media does not cover their misgivings. So we are trying to bridge a gap for you, the listener and the viewer, of, hey, we're going to tell you, we're going to put it out here. We're not going to tell you how it's going to go. We're not going to propagandize you. Is that a word? We're going to have the people on, and you can make your own judgment. So this next guest, Eddie Kanzler. Yeah, I'll get it. I'll get it by the end of the show. Eddie Kanzler's coming on, county councilman for Blackford County, and he's sort of new to the politics. But I think I think you're going to enjoy this guy. So I'm going to bring him on. And Mr. Kanzler, how you doing? I got your name right, didn't I? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Kanzler. Yep.
It took me about 3 months to say apostolic. I couldn't. I get stuck on a word. It's like, oh, it's
That's
not
a
good.
tough one. That's a tough one to roll off your tongue.
Yeah, it's like, well, I obviously I can do it now, but and then some other things. It's like, I just never. I get it wrong the first time. It's good. So, Mr. Kanzler, give us your elevator introduction here, if you would.
My name is Eddie Kanzler. I live in Blackford County. I've lived in Blackford County my whole life, except for the time I spent in the military. A few years ago, my wife and I got involved in some political stuff where we started listening to some people speak on how to take care of issues, how you could write notices and affidavits. And we got invited to a kind of a meeting in a park over wind turbines and solar companies coming into our county. And we listened to them speak, and we offered them some ideas how they could address the issue by just presenting the contract that our country's founded on, the Constitution. And then once we started down that way, we saw some things not going quite right, or some things being said and done that we disagreed with. And so after a few notices, more than a few, and a few affidavits given to our county council and our commissioners, I realized that some of the stuff was falling on deaf ears. So I thought, well, if you ain't going to change it, I might as well try to step in and help it, do what I can. Even if I don't get elected, me and my wife are still going to keep doing what we're doing for the county.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, your wife's a heck of a campaign manager for you. She's sharing the show, and I've already noticed that there's more people viewing now that you're on. So she must like you. Now, my wife is so glad I'm out of politics. She's probably down there doing cartwheels right now. That, hey, you could do the talk show. That's great, but stay out of politics.
I think the most disappointing thing, I wish I would have gotten involved years ago. You know, that because when you live in a county all your life, you see things going in a direction, and then all of a sudden I start realizing why some of the reason it went in the wrong directions.
Yeah, it did. Well, and I think that, podcasts like this and social media and people with phones, they've exposed some of the things, just like COVID exposed how poor our education system was teaching our kids and what was in this classrooms. It's very much similar to that in the politics, because these people would, they have this little shiny object over here, but they'd be doing this other thing down here. And now I think it's tougher for them to do that because of guys like you that are willing to step up and step out and do this. Right. Now, one of the things, just from talking to you, you're a guy that's, you're pretty serious. I'm just going to say it. You get going on something, you're going to dig down, you're going to figure out what it is, and you're going to fix the darn thing. Am I off on that? Is that close?
My job, my career has led me down a path where you make decisions for what's best for the organization that's hired you. And to me going to do this job, if I get elected, is I'm working for the people. They're not working for me. And so what got me started down this path was, one of your questions, the first question you asked was, how'd you get involved in this? And I believe so. In the county we live, Blackford County, wind turbines and solar panels are going up with very little voices being heard from the people. It just seems like there's a few that's getting to speak that we don't get the chance to speak. So I want to be a voice for them, but also using some of my experience in business and stuff to realize there are decisions you have to make at times, but as long as it doesn't circumvent the Constitution or the people's rights.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
There's 3 people on your county council. Is that correct, or is there more than that?
Yes, the county commissioners.
Commissioners. Okay.
Yeah, the county commissioners. 3 of us. There are 3 of them, and there's an individual. That's the time is up. So there's 2 of us running against that individual.
Okay.
I have nothing bad to say about anybody or nothing. It's not about beating anybody down. It's just realizing that some of the decisions they're making is not there's nothing back.
Yeah, and that's what we have here in Indianapolis. I'll give you a quick example in Stringtown, which is one of our little neighborhoods on the west side. They're wanting to put in a lower income housing unit. 40 people showed up, spoke against it. Nobody spoke for it, and the county council ran it through anyway. It happens everywhere. But I think we need people to step up, and I'm wishing you well on stepping up, and hopefully people notice that. Because it's tough to do this. I mean, you're about my age, it looks like, and we could be doing a lot of different things than this, right?
Yeah.
I see a deer back there. You could be. Hey, real quick, I got a deer joke for you.
Okay.
What does a deer hunter and a gold digger have in common? They're both hunting big. They're both hunting big bucks.
Big bucks.
Yeah, they're both hunting big
That's
bucks.
a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I do what I can to keep the show entertaining.
I'll have to remember that one. So one of like, for example, some of the things when we go to meetings and where we presented our thoughts on affidavits and stuff like that, we've asked the question, which really shocks me, that when I joined the military, there's an oath I took. And matter of fact, when you take office, there's an oath you take. And that oath is that you uphold the state, and in the military, it's the Constitution of the U.S. But in the state of Indiana, you would hold the Constitution, or you would take that oath under the Constitution for the state Constitution. When you ask the people that sit in office, have you even read the Constitution? 99.9% of them have never even read the Constitution. Maybe some of them may have flipped a few pages. But it's amazing to me that the number of people that sworn to uphold the Indiana State Constitution have never even read it. So how can you go into a meeting or into anything and make a decision about a project or the welfare of your community or how things are going to go if you never even read the instruction manual how to get there? It's sort of like it's like men sometimes, like they always say, men don't even read instructions to build something. Then after they got missing parts, then they'll go back and read it. So
and our state constitution it mirrors the country's constitution fairly well. I know that we have had some amendments and things over the years, but it's very similar to our national constitution.
And it is. It's very, very, very close to it.
Okay, let's get to it. I'm going to probably spend a little more time with you than we did, because Tiffany's. I don't know if she's answered back on this or not, but I know she's got another event, so we're going to fill in some time here. But anyway, the questions are basically the same that I've been asking folks, and this is when you're out talking to folks, what issue do you hear about the most? And it could be a couple things.
Well, the first one we kind of hit on that was the wind turbines and solar panels.
So that's a big deal up there.
In Blackfoot County, when you're the second smallest county in the state, and they're putting in, last time I heard it was like a couple hundred, close to that or something. I've lost track of the number. I know that in our area where they're going to put the second phase is going to be the tallest ones that I've ever heard of. And
wow. I didn't know they could get any taller or bigger.
They're pretty tall. And then what happened was, I think that what really got me the most was when I heard people saying that their voices wasn't being heard. I think that bothered me the most out of all of it. And a lot of times progress is progress, but when you're making progress without listening to your voters, I don't think that's a wise decision. So that's why I got involved, and that's what I've heard the most of.
Yeah, and I think that, you say you're the second smallest county. Do you by any chance know the population of the county? Is it like
what's
hee haw numbers like BR
I-
59?
I was at work today. I thought I got a feeling he's going to ask me that question. I probably should have that off the tip of my tongue. But
I won't hold you to it.
I know. I promise you, I'll have it on my tip of my tongue the next time I talk to somebody.
Well, I mean, I had somebody when I was campaigning, I missed a belt loop on my pants, and it's like they told me, "Well, you got to be careful. People will get you for missing a belt loop."
Yeah,
I'm like, well, nobody did,
Well,
but except
I
that
just
one
tell
person.
I'm just telling them I'm glad you noticed.
Yeah, that's really. But so what your solution? I mean, your solution for that is very obvious that you're going to go in there and speak for the people. You're going to be a representative of the people.
Yeah, the thing is, when you go in and you listen to the people, and you say that it's not going the way that a few of the councilmen want or the commissioners want, then there's other alternatives for us to look for. If it's about the dollar, then there's other ways we can look at the dollar. We can look at, are we overspending on other areas? Are we overstaffed in areas? How can we get our are we looking at competitive bids? Are we looking at that? I mean, when you are going out and getting bonds and putting your county deeper in debt and not knowing what the bonds are for, our children are inheriting in that. And it's like you need to run it like it's your own business. I mean, if I ain't got enough money to put a roof on my house, I'll find it. I'll wait till I get the money. I'm not going to go out and get in debt unless it's a major catastrophe where it has to be replaced and it's leaking and things like that. Sometimes we get bonds and get ourselves into a position. And how can you go get bonds when you're offering outside entities tax abatements? It doesn't make sense to me.
A lot of that going on, and some good buddy offerings, that I've heard in other counties. And, I get a lot of folks calling me with stuff like this that happens. And, I'm just a stinking small podcast host. If I call a Braun's office, which I have put in 2 requests for an interview and they've ignored me, they don't get through. I don't get through. So I have
and that's a shame. But a lot of times what you'll find is they run on the simple fact that, hey, I'm here for the people, but then you never get a chance to even
see. I got a couple like that I voted for delegate wise. I voted for one specific Secretary of State person that as soon as they got in, they lost my number.
I probably can guess who that is. But
yeah, you can guess. But this show's not about them, right? It's about you, sir.
That's true.
It's about you. So 3. I mean, that's sort of wild. 3 county commissioners for a whole county. I mean, now is your population growing some, or are you pretty much static?
Our population is static. It's went down quite a bit. I hate to.
So what is it? Too much farmland, too much beans and corn, and people.
We're actually a larger farming community than we are industrial. Now,
tomatoes. Do they grow tomatoes up there for the red gold?
No, they don't. There's places pretty close to us that grow.
Okay, yeah, I know that there's some up there.
But there's things we can do to improve our county to get more business in. We're close enough to 69. We're close enough to other nice roads. We just have to make ways to where we can work with other surrounding counties to get them to assist in improving our road structure and getting that stuff and offering up. We got empty buildings in the industrial park that we could look at. I'm sure that people are. But I don't think what's happened is we've taken the easy route. We went to get wind turbines and solar panels.
Just that low-hanging fruit.
Right. And so I don't think that's the right direction I'd like to go.
The data centers seem to be a unpopular topic. Has your county had anything to do with the data centers?
I have not heard at the present time of any possible data centers coming in, but it's something we need to start looking at now, because if we don't have things in place to get ready for it, then it's going to come at us just like the wind turbines would. And that's where the first thing I would do when elected is that right now they have 2.
You read my mind.
Yeah, they have 2 council meetings a month, and I'm sure they have other offsite meetings or something like that, one-on-ones, but they're all geared toward 9:00 in the morning. Well, probably when 92% of your people are working in the mornings, there's no way that the voting people can get to vote or to come and speak. They're either taking time off work or vacation day and then losing that pay. So to them, it's not worth it. They're hoping that we make the right decision for them. So one thing I would recommend, and it's going to be tough getting it done because there's only three of us. And but I'm still going to push it every time we have a meeting if we can't agree to disagree on having meetings in the evening, then let's do one in the morning
I see.
That were the people that are retired and the farmers want to come and voice their opinion and listen to the maybe issues coming up. Then the second meeting would be held in the evening that we're allowing the opportunity for anybody that can come and speak their mind. I've noticed that each time I went to meetings that the councilman and them have given numerous RWE and them guys 20, 30 minutes of speech time. They want to restrict their county people that voted on us to speak for 2-3 minutes. To me, when they can spend their 20, 30 minutes trying to sell their wares, but we can't get 5 minutes to voice our opinion, that's a pretty big discrepancy.
Yeah. So what is that? Did they have a 2-minute time limit? And plus, Jody Stewart here, she's got 11,638 people up there, and that is definitely hee-haw numbers. That is definitely hee-haw numbers.
They put a 2-3 minute time limit on you, and believe me, they're hitting the gavel and letting you know that you're going over. And
that's being an observer of the Hamilton East County Library, which I've met several people at. That was one of the biggest contentions that I saw. They would not let the folks speak. And when they couldn't speak, they started yelling. And when they started yelling, they started getting thrown in jail. And I just like, you should be able to go to these meetings and not be egged on to the point where you get violent.
The one meeting I was at, it truly broke my heart when I was speaking. They told me I had to stop. I was reading a notice to them that was put them on notice. And they wouldn't let me get through it. But people stood up and offered me their time to finish mine. And to me, that says a lot for the Hoosier people in Blackford County. That when they think you're right, they're going to let you speak. Now, we can still speak and disagree, but they should still let us speak. It's amazing. I serve this country and I have to ask permission to speak at a meeting. That doesn't make sense to me. Your First Amendment should be cherished to where you have the right to say what you want, whether it's going to break a heart or not.
Yeah, well, and I think that things get escalated when, I mean, I'm the same way. If I call, and I tell folks, if I call you and you don't get back with me, or I can't get a hold of you, or you don't ever call me back, I'm never going to vote for you. If I can't access trust me, there's people that won't. I have our county chair and vice chair. I've sent them a text message about an issue, nothing returned. Now, if you're going to be in this position, you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to answer phone calls at 10 at night and listen to, the lady complain about your neighbor's cat
because like the job I'm in, that there's a few of us managers that we filled all of our calls during the weekend and during the week, no matter what time. Now, I think people should have access to their councilman to either email them or text them, but having respect of doing that. And you should have their common courtesy and respect to email them back and text them and ask them to come to a meeting and to voice their opinion. And we'd like to hear from them. You don't see that, but I think what it is that there needs to be a change that allows us our voice to be heard instead of having to write notices or affidavits and following common law and write down maxims that people have to wake up and see. And it wasn't, till my wife and I got involved that we started seeing there's an opportunity and we do have a path to take to fix problems.
Yeah.
Legally.
So I'm going to, I just got word from Tiffany there. Sorry about that. Multitasking. She's on her way home from her event. So you're going to get some more questions, but you've piqued my interest in someone who has basically minded his own business for a bunch of years and has decided to, and that's, I'm very similar. When I hit about 56, 57, I was like, man, I'm sick and tired of this stuff. And that's why I started to do something in it. That was my campaign slogan, was do something.
Yeah. I'm 69 years old. And the thing I'm looking at is that, you know, some guys are, I still work and because I enjoy it, is that people ask me why. Well, I have grandchildren and I have boys, and I want my grandchildren to enjoy a better life than I had. You know, that's what your goal is in life. When you have children, you want to raise them to have a better life. Not maybe always easy, but a better life. And what's happening, I'm seeing things going in a direction that they can't sit outside and enjoy the sunset without looking at wind turbines and dealing with that. And then what happens is we've actually that what you realize is that the people, you know, is for the public good, and they're our boss, you know, and like when we look at it this way is that when these outside companies come in and they set up a contract with these farm owners, and I understand their position. They're wanting to get money to help offset their taxes and things like that. Jacqueline, and
the lighting. She's a heck of a campaigning manager. Hey, Jacqueline, turn the light back on. It'll help.
No, don't turn the light back on, Jacqueline. So then what's happened is these contracts that these farmers have set up, and we don't realize that there's tax dollars being used to subsidize these events. Well, that contract, really, if you think about it, if your tax dollars paying for it, just become a public contract. So it just concerns me the direction we're going. So.
Yeah, and I think that it's great that you're stepping up, and there's a lot of people that are stepping up within their own party. Now, when you run, do you run as a party member, or is it
I'm running. Okay, so I'm running Republican.
I didn't know some places like, you know, Sanford, Florida, where I'm moving, they don't have parties on their mayor and stuff. It's like they're pretty laid back down there, by the way. But so. And then I assume you're running against another Republican. Oh yeah, this is the Republican primary.
The Republican primary.
Been a long
that's
day.
Fine. Yeah, there's another gentleman running, and the young lady the lady is in there now. She's trying to get reelected.
All right, I see Tiffany getting ready in the background there. I'm going to ask you one more question. The final question is, what is one fun fact about you folks may not know about you?
That probably one of my greatest joys is I love archery. It's it's.
Now, can you shoot an apple off one of your grandkids' head without injuring them?
I've shot apples in targets off a deer's nose, but I've never shoot one off a kid's.
I know. That's just asking for bad things to happen.
No, it just me and my wife, we enjoy traveling to other countries and hunting and stuff. So it's usually balls around archery. I've been blessed with that opportunity, but it's one of the fun facts about me. I love to hunt.
All right. Well, that was pretty easy one with the deer in the background. How did that deer run through your wall like that? I don't.
His rear end sticking out the other side of the wall. So
yeah. Actually, I was playing golf down in Florida. I saw a golf cart that was put into the side of the house, like it ran into it when the wheels were turning. It's like they went through a lot of expense to make a silly thing for their house. But anyway, hey,
well, I appreciate you having me on. As a pleasure.
I knew when I talked to you the first time you would be a good guest, and you are in politics for the reason I want people in politics.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So we'll wish you good luck on May, and after you win, now when you win this primary, you got to go to November and win again, right?
No.
This is it. That's it.
I'm also running as a delegate, hoping I get elected as a delegate to go to.
Okay. Well, we'll have to talk because I'm 7 running for 6. How many are in yours?
I think there's 2, 4, 8.
8 for your whole county. I'm sure of it. 8 for your whole county. Yeah, so we'll talk. So how many's running? Do you know how many's running?
Jacqueline, you know how many's running?
I think 8 or 9.
8 or 9. I should
okay,
say.
So you're about the same as me. It's just going to be embarrassing if I lose 7 out of 6. But
my campaign manager's kind of dropped the ball.
I'm telling you what, she is solid. You got to keep her right there. If she's half a wife and she is a campaign manager, man, you are.
She's a better wife than she is campaign manager.
Wow, Man, rub my feet, honey. Make me a sandwich. I got it.
No.
All right. Well, we thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
I see Tiffany's ready to go back there, and good luck on next Tuesday.
Hey, thank you.
All right. I just love talking to these candidates. It's when I see somebody come in for the first time like that, their eyes are wide open, their tail is all bushy, and they have not been beaten in the head by the establishment and other things. So, and that seems like a pretty quiet little county up there, 11,000 people in it, huh? I think I got that many people in my neighborhood, but, and it ain't quiet. It ain't quiet. So, but yeah, I see Tiffany's getting ready back there. She just came out of an event. I think she might even be up in her car. And we're going to get to it because she's got a real slugfest going up there in District 31 up in Hamilton County. And I pulled up what are the how's early voting going in up in these counties, and Hamilton County is a hot one. So not only do they have Republican challengers, they have Democrats, and it's going to be interesting up there. So let's bring on Tiffany. And Tiffany, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. Have you missed being on the show with us? I know you have.
I miss chatting with you guys, and I certainly miss the conversations with Brad and making sure that he feels that he receives all the attention he deserves.
Well, don't worry. Jason Hammer has been dialing him up a headache, and Tim Kramer on Kramer's set has been. So they filled in for you, but I'm sure he'll be glad that you're back and all that. But yeah, due to the campaign rules and all that, I can have you on as a guest. That all works. So you're out. You just got out of an event out there campaigning like, there's no tomorrow. I know most of our viewers know about you, but you know what, Tiffany, we've gotten like over 120 new followers in the last couple months. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that, but
I've always told you, John, that your show brings a lot of value to this space. You ask the questions, you get the guests on, and it's all very authentic and honest. And I've always told you that you've always undersold the value of your show.
I know, because one day we're going to get paid. So we're trying to raise a little bit of money so I can upgrade the stream on 8 different places. And I got the GoFundMe. I'm not a GoFundMe. I got a couple of Cash App things out there, but we're raising a little bit of money. So I'm thinking maybe next Tuesday we might be streaming on 8 different places. And plus then I can put more people in the studio. So anyway, that's all technical stuff. We're here to talk about you, and I've really enjoyed. Have you been on the show 3 years? Maybe more.
I don't know, 3 or 4 years. I'm not sure, but it's great to be on as a panelist. And when I was running for city council, and when we were getting attention for the board that I was on, and
you were on the show then, and that's how we picked up your buddy Brad from that. So good things can come from bad things, right? And I know the board wasn't bad.
I never would have called it a bad thing.
Yeah, it just was, and I think that was a child of COVID, because people found out what was going on in their libraries and their schools, and that was one of the main topics was, hey, is there porn in this library? Is there this and that in this library? Are kids seeing that? And oh dear, we can't unsee this.
Yeah, but I will tell you, for me, being appointed to the library board during that time, just a real important space for me to get involved in politics, to have a leadership role, to be able to assess information and make tough decisions. And it really just kind of grounds you in your principles and, what you believe as a taxpayer. During that time, I believe that anything that's supported by taxpayer dollars is subject to audit. And that's something that I firmly believe in. When you're elected, you have to be a good steward of taxpayer dollars. You also have to make tough decisions, and decisions are divisive. And then you also, if you're accountable to if you have employees that you oversee, you got to hold them accountable too. So I just think that my time on the Hamilton East Public Library Board was a great opportunity for me to step into leadership at the city level, and to really just kind of ground myself in the kind of elected official that I would be.
Yeah, to remind everybody about that, Tiffany was on the Hamilton East County Library, appointed to that along with Micah Beckwith, and it got a little crazy. And then Tiffany basically I think you were made president for a little bit of that. And I'll tell you what, you got it. You landed the balloon, and it was a lead balloon, and you landed the balloon. And I commend you on that. I don't know if I ever told you that. I was impressed with your ability to, that it was getting pretty wild up there. People were getting arrested. And, wow, it was crazy.
But those are the kind of situations that bring out who you really are. When there's chaos, when there's confusion, you want leaders that can have a level head, see the path ahead, and get people there. And that's the same type of leadership and common sense that I bring to the table as a Fisher City Councilor, and then also as I look to go to the State House. I'm a common sense Republican. I believe that I'm as pro-life as anybody else. I support, your ability to own and purchase guns. I support that too. I'm a person of faith. I'm a Roman Catholic. I'm a conservative Christian. We're all of those things, that you would expect a Republican to be.
That's good. So you're out on the campaign. Let's get to some questions here. You're out on the campaign trail, and I know you're door knocking. You asked me to come up Saturday. I'll try to get up there. I got stuff. I got broken skid steers, hoses, and I got stuff. But anyway,
I will share this with you, and you will laugh. I've enjoyed knocking doors in Lawrence Township more than I thought I would. Being able to engage with voters, and when I tell them that I'm an elected Republican in Fishers, everybody's eyes get so big. And I think the Indy Star is not doing me any favors by letting people know that there's actually, an elected Republican, a woman of color in Fishers just up the road, but also letting people know that you can be conservative, you can be Republican, and you can be brown, you can be African American. The party is open for everybody as long as you align to the values. So I enjoy telling them that I'm an elected Republican. In fact, you were talking about this being a crowded primary. There's 4 people in this race, including myself, but I am the only candidate that is an elected Republican, the only candidate that has any city level experience. By serving on the Fisher City Council at large, I already serve 70% of the district, and I'm the only candidate that's already accountable to every voter in Fishers. So I'm the only veteran in my race, and I'm the best person for the job. And when people think about that ballot that they're going to cast in a primary, what I'm asking them to do in Senate District 31 is to think about that candidate that can get them through the primary and the general election. This seat is Senate District 31. It could be purple, it could be a red purple, it could be a blue purple, and it's all going to be determined by the type of candidate we're running in the general election and what turnout is. I've been knocking doors in Lawrence. We are getting people excited about this race. We're going to turn out the vote on the Lawrence side, but we also need a candidate that people can get behind. In this space, I feel like I best represent Senate District 31. I'm a working class woman. I'm educated. I'm a homeowner like most of the people here in Lawrence Township. And I feel like I'm the best person to represent them. I'm not the candidate that showed up when there was a vacant seat and decided to run. I'm not the candidate that left Florida to run for office. And I'm not that candidate that's super busy with a practice. I have a very, very flexible time. I'm self-employed. I have my own real estate business, and I'm able to be there for my constituents. And I'm the best candidate for this race, the best one to get us through the primary and the general. And just know that the Democrats on the other side, they're stacking the deck, and they know exactly who they want to represent them. And we need to put the strongest candidate forward.
Yeah, it wouldn't be an ex-sheriff, would it? Do tell. Well, and my policy, 80% of why I vote for somebody is to get a hold of them. And obviously you've been very easy to get a hold of. You were very easy to get a hold of at the very start, and you were very eager to say, I'll come on the show. And honestly, everyone on our show on the panel, I think Brad's the newest newcomer. He's a newcomer, and he's been here 2 or 3 years. And I think it's really helped us in our speaking capacities. And I know from in my experience with you being here 3-4 years, you've come a long way in how you present yourself. So, but I do think it's.
But in the beginning, you're right. In the beginning, I would have notes and I would study, and I was a little bit more robotic. And now it's a conversation with friends, and I love that the people in the audience, the people who bring comments forward. It's a conversation with friends.
Yeah, and that's why I like it. We call that organic, or whatever you want to call it. We're not out there trying to spin something or do that. And sometimes it's difficult to navigate the different sides, because we're so divided and just it's so divisive right now. I had Denise Paul Hatch on earlier. She's ready to out Trump. That's first thing that they want to do is that type of thing. Which hey, if they win, they can do it. So, but we're at a time now where it's hard to be in the middle. It's hard to be in the middle.
But I also think that sometimes toward the middle, that's where the best solutions come. I'm on my phone, so I can't read this question that you have up there.
Okay. So the first question is, when you're out talking to voters and that, what do you hear most about?
So I would tell you in the last 10 days, it's been property taxes. People aren't happy that so if you're originally from Indiana, you're not happy with the increases, even with the reimbursement that came through from the governor. People aren't happy with it. They're just not seeing it. But if you've moved here from Illinois, you're very, very pleased with property taxes, and it's not a problem. But one of the things, primary voters tend to be older voters. They are on fixed incomes. They are concerned about property taxes. A $2,000 increase, that is considerable to them, and it hurts their pockets. So one of the things that I'm very concerned about doing when elected is having that conversation, and let's work to freeze those property taxes for folks when they reach that full retirement age. Let's see what we can do to make sure that when you retire and you raise your hand for a fixed income, that we can hold your property taxes steady at that same level so that you can be on a fixed income and know that your property taxes are fixed. We've got to start thinking about, how we can continue to collect the money that we need in our cities and towns and our states to run, and our schools, how we can continue to bring in that revenue, but not burden people more than we need to.
Yeah. And I think that, being somebody who is 65 and getting all these bombarded by Medicaid and Medicare, Plan B, Plan C, Plan G, Plan E, whatever all these plans are. But, you say a 2,000 increase. I mean, I'm basically going to be paying two of my monthly Social Security checks just for property tax. So, that makes a difference. I mean, if you have a mortgage, I'm very fortunate not to have a mortgage here in Indiana. And that is okay. But my roads are not any better. I'm not really getting the services I would like to have. Can't even get us out of the floodplain. So, I mean, really, where's it going? I mean, I think we got some good schools, but half our budget goes to that. But anyway, you sort of answered the question. What was your solution? So let's fast forward November. You win. You're at Organization Day on November 20th. And, you can't do anything on that day, but so you win. What is the first thing you'd like to see done in November or on the first session? Have you thought of that far ahead?
What type of legislation I want to carry?
Yeah. Just what's your first thing you want to do? Do you want to vote Rod Bray out? I know. Don't answer that.
What? I am, eyes wide open and see what's going on. I think that as you're learning, it's good to learn under established leadership just to see what's going on and how things are supposed to run before things change. And I'm just really worried about Tiffany, making sure that she represents her people and Tiffany knows what's going on and that my people are taking care of me. That's my number one, is to take care of Tiffany so that Tiffany can take care of her people. When I think about some legislation that I'd like to carry, this is something that I talked about 5.5 years ago when I was part of the caucus for the role when Senator Merritt announced his retirement. Traffic stops are the most dangerous thing that law enforcement does. That's where young drivers, older drivers, nervous drivers, and law enforcement come together. And one of the things that I think is important is adding a page to the driver's ed manual that talks about what you're supposed to do during a traffic stop. Most veterans know that, they tell you if you're ever driving on a military base and you ever get pulled over, there's about 6 things that you do. You pull over, you turn on your hazards, you roll your window down, you turn on your dome light, you turn off your car, and you sit there with your hands on the steering wheel until the officer approaches you and tells you what to do. That's what people typically do, just to kind of make sure that we all know we've diffused the space as much as we can, and then let the traffic stop go from there. And it's just something that I think will just help people to understand. People are nervous. People have never been pulled over before. And if we can teach them in driver's ed what they're supposed to do during driving when they're pulled over, we can also teach people that when they go to recertify on the road signs. so we can have that catch up training for people. And I don't think it would cost very much money aside from adding a page to the driver's ed manual and then some additional training when people go to the BMV to renew their license. So just something to support law enforcement and something to support drivers, because we all mix on the roads. We all come together on the roads.
So I'm gonna put a question up from Tyler about your military experience. Tiffany, where were you in combat or deployed into a combat zone?
Sure. I deployed after 9/11, and I deployed to Oman. And so when they consider the deployments, it is the whole region. So we were doing our wartime job over in the desert.
So that was, I mean, I don't remember a lot of hostile fire in Oman. So Oman. So is that pretty
actually,
safe? Or I mean, obviously you could get bombed anywhere, but
and so I was in the Air Force, and what the Air Force does is we send pilots off to combat. So I was not a pilot. So everything that you do in the military is to support air power. It's support air power, enable air power, because we send our officers off to fight, drop bombs, and that's exactly what they were doing in the second Gulf War. They were, we were dropping bombs. So remember, the Taliban went into the tunnel. They went to the tunnels, and we were dropping bombs. So all of our efforts were supporting the war fighters. So we were doing our day-to-day jobs over in the combat zone.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed about you in your political career and your work here with the Mouthwash Talk Show, and I'm not trying to be a homer here, but you have a methodical method, and maybe that's from your military background or it's just your personality of figuring out what it is and going about it, and you're not going to make a rash decision on it. You're going to take your time, and I noticed that on the library board that came through. So all those are really good attributes, which I'm sure will not work down in the Senate. So that'll be a new thing for them to learn.
But I think, John, that there's being methodical, and that's the way I think things through. But I think what's going to be important working in the Senate is understanding the spirit behind what we're trying to do and making sure things ladder up to the spirit of what we're trying to do. If we're trying to improve something for Hoosiers, are we really, thinking this way thinking this through in a way that's going to improve the situation? If we're trying to save money, are we really trying to save money? I am as pro-life as anybody else, but I think as we craft legislation that affects families, we really have to think about, is this pro-living? Is this an extension of how we feel about when we think about being pro-life? Are we continuing to support humanity? Are we being pro-living? Are we being pro-family? Because we have a restrictive abortion ban here in the state of Indiana. We are pro-life. Can we be pro-living and show that through the legislation that we write? And
I think that's where we're at now with the inflation and obviously that goes. And when you said the spirit of what we're trying to do, the first thing that popped into my mind was property taxes, because I mean, we had a property tax rally 2 or 3 years ago, and we had a lot of people appeal their taxes, and we overwhelmed the Marion County people because it took them 2 years to get to my appeal. So I know that some folks did that, but then when we get a law now, full disclosure, I think my property taxes might have gone down $200 this year, even though they reassessed me again, and I went higher that way. It did go down, but that's not. It was like putting a Band-Aid on a tourniquet wound. So when you said the spirit of that was like, hey, we want to see something really done here. We don't want to see a little fairy dust sprinkled on this thing and hope it goes away. So, okay, let's go ahead and wind it up here because we're getting into the hour, and Lucy's not here, so we might be able to wind this thing up. And appreciate the people in the comments here. You've been great tonight. I see some new faces in there. I hope you come back on Tuesdays because we'll, next week Tiffany probably be busy at her thing, but we're going to have a show, and but after that she'll be back on. So let's go to the last question. Is a fun fact. What is one fun fact about you folks may not know about you?
Oh, wow. I've been on the show so long. I feel like people know most things.
Besides making fun of Brad, but everybody knows that that's a fun fact.
This sounds crazy. I usually run 1,000 miles per hour or I run at 0. And I love to sit on my couch and be cozy and relax. Drop the temperature, blanket on my lap, snuggling with my dogs, a glass of wine, usually watching the Golden Girls that I've seen a million times. But that is my happy space. And at the end of the day, that is what I look forward to more than anything, is just being on the couch and relaxing.
Just vegging out. I got it.
Vegging out. And when I go to sleep at night, I sleep so well. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? You're headed home. Go get you a glass of wine. Get the little pup out, which he's been on our show several times. Sometimes wanted, sometimes unwanted. Always welcome. 82% of the people own pets. So if you can get a dog in your campaign thing, that's a good thing, or a cat.
You know what? I'll go through the Humane Society tomorrow. That's a great idea.
Get all your neighbors' dogs and walk them to a campaign thing. Hey, look, I'm out here helping everybody out. So anyway, well, Tiffany, it's great having you on. Thanks for making time after your event tonight and making this happen. And you'll see Tiffany soon enough back on the Mouthwash Show. Good luck next Wednesday. Tuesday. I'm telling the Democrats to vote Wednesday. But all the people voting for Tiffany go on Tuesday or earlier. Go this weekend.
Oh, yeah. So there's supposed to be rain on Tuesday. Republicans, go vote over the weekend.
Republicans melt. They melt. I'm sorry. We melt.
So look at the weather. If, just check the weather. I think Monday, Tuesday, it's supposed to rain. You might want to go out, get it done over the weekend. 10% of Americans vote in primaries. I have found that primary voters are the best prepared and the best educated voters. And I need to make sure that educated and prepared primary voters come out to vote, because they know that I am the best choice for Senate District 31. I need everybody to come out and vote.
Yeah, and I say all the cool kids are voting for Tiffany. So, all right, Tiffany, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you soon enough. Good luck. Whoops, cut her off. I'm really good at this cutting off stuff. If I had a producer, I wouldn't do that. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in tonight for this special edition. As you can see, it's a good way to get to know a candidate, to see how they handle themselves on, say they get to an office and they have to go on TV or whatever, see what they're going to look like on TV and how they're going to handle themselves, and are they going to be able to answer questions without notes, with all those things that we need. So that's, I think that all 7 candidates that we've had on this week, I think every one of them have been able to do that. So get out and vote. I mean, that's where we're at now. We're getting out and vote and all that good stuff. And so stay tuned for Tuesday. We're going to do the election recap. I do not think we're going to have a witty review show, because he's going to be out and about. He may pop on a live something or other. And then we also have the rinse with Brad, with Tiffany's buddy Brad, is on at 7:30. He's got a new sidekick, Drew Weingarten, who is actually running for office too. He has no primary challenger, so we did not have him on the Mouthwash because we really wanted to highlight people that had primary challengers. So with that being said, that is it for tonight. Thank you for tuning in, and share and have people follow and spread the news about the Mouthwash Talk Show. And we will see you next Tuesday. Or no, my wife will be mad at me. This Tuesday, the next Tuesday would be another big show we have planned out that's going to expose some silliness in both parties in Marion County, which I don't think you're going to want to miss. I'm working on the research right now. It's going to be great. Everybody, have a great evening, and we will see you later.